because I think the key is that if we reschedule again, the same thing might happen. So, all right. So today is obviously a usual governance meeting, and of course it's the date of the meeting when it was meant to be on the screen, but obviously we changed that because people are everywhere at the moment, and Mark's in Broken Hill at the moment, so doing a lot with our Barnsons who've been contracted, but we'll more on that in a second. So let's just do a quick status update. Astronomy Park's probably one of the key areas where we've had some challenges with where we want to put the Astronomy Park because it's actually on not only Crown land, but native title claim. So we've had to rethink where we're going to be placing the Astronomy Park on the basis that we've been recommended by the unincorporated Crown land not to proceed at that location. Mark, do you want to talk to where it's up to with the area we're looking at now? I'm going to say it that way because we've gone to probably several locations in between.
Yeah, there's several. There was one down by the creek that just wasn't appropriate at all, and a couple of others were available, but it just sort of didn't fit what we're looking at. And now we're looking at an area. There's some. We're thinking they're deceased estates, but our guys are looking at it. They're not Crown. They're not native title. They look fine. There's no owners. Nobody's made any recognition of them since the 1880s. So yeah, but the people who know more about it are looking at that now. And yeah, just on that, we had the survey of all Milparinka done a couple of weeks ago. We just noted down some points, and with the drone going back to pick up those survey points and give us a master plan. Yeah, there is. The more we talk about the astronomy park, the harder it gets. So we're just, yeah, because it's a fairly, not really a structure of any sort. We're sort of thinking about taking a different tack than just preparing a bit of an area and making some information available. But yeah, it's up for discussion, and it needs to be in an appropriate place where there's a nice lookout. So there's a sort of a lookout in the area where we're looking, and it could be a double up would be a lovely spot to sit and have a glass of wine in the evening, even when you're not looking at stars, or picnic area. So yeah, it's been a lot more moving on that because we'd actually called tenders for a supplier, and yeah, things we didn't expect. So it's a negative, but no, we'll get
I think we'll end up with a better result as an outcome, though, going through this.
Yeah, I think the original airstrip area was just too perfect, and now we've lost that. We're sort of thought, oh, but what we've found is pretty good as well. So as long as we keep working down that track.
Yeah.
So just I guess on that, following on. Last week I had the rest of the Barnson crew out there. I had the engineer, the surveyor, planner, and the architectural guy. We went to Milparinka and Tibooburra. I went up Wednesday, but they flew in Thursday and out Friday. Yeah, we're working on that master plan in 3D at the post office, so we'll get some 3D imaging, which will be pretty cool to look at what we can do there. And yeah, we looked at the museum site and the camp kitchen in Tibooburra, and yeah, just on the art, we sort of I met with the artists up there too, and the project manager from West Darling Arts, and that was all really positive. It looks like we've got something sort of sorted out for Milparinka. Had a few options at Tibooburra. And it's all at Packsaddle and Yanko are progressing, but not quite as quick. So I met with Jo Crace from West Darling Arts, and she's contacting a couple of artists to see, well, we can't sort of recommend them unless they're interested. So I guess to see if they're interested in doing some artwork up in those two places. But as I say, Milparinka's basically sorted, and there's Ruth will update us more, but she was happy, and I guess that's one of the main ones there. But we'll have something to send around. There's some pretty exciting stuff for Tibooburra as well. We're sort of going down the got some artists there, and I think Hey Dan and Joe Harris. I think it's Joe. Help me, Dan. What's Joe and Jodie's name?
Jodie Daly.
Daly, yeah. Thinking about doing some information on Joe up there and that as part of the museum. So yeah, no, things are progressing along.
Rocky, did you have any questions on that one? Are you fully up to speed on that?
Yeah, I actually mentioned it to Dan.
Great.
And was going, the board's agreed. We'll get on to Jodie.
Great.
And see if she wants to paint a portrait and get some information.
Yeah, fabulous. Okay. Awesome.
I mean, Dan wanted to do something on him years ago in the hostel, I think. So.
Great. Now we've got Dan and Gareth are both joined us online as well. Dan, did you want to comment? Are you cool with everything?
Absolutely. I'm super cool about having some info about Joe Daly. It's a story, well, a local Tibooburra story that we don't really want to lose, and
Great.
I think that's the perfect place for it. Given Joe's Aboriginality and Trumpy, if you really want to go into detail, all that sort of thing. Yeah, perfect.
Great. Fabulous, thank you. Very exciting.
And the board also recommended that we recognise the Afghan camel people because they helped open up the outback.
Okay, yep.
But I'm not sure
Another
who's done that, so.
Another passion of mine.
I'm going to go down and have a look at Ruth's and just make sure we don't double up.
Okay. Yep. Fabulous. Dan, you sorry, you say something?
No, that's I'm super keen on some info about the Afghan cameleers as well.
Yeah, fabulous. All right.
And there might be a bit of stuff around that artifact wise, or that we could display as well.
Brilliant. Love it. Sorry, I'm just making notes as everyone can see as I'm going. Sorry, Mark, just going back a step to Barnson's. I think that covers the sculpture trail for the moment. The only ones that we're probably haven't started is the Yanko Glen. And that hasn't started because we're still at the consultation phase of who we're engaging. Is that fair to say, Mark? I think that's probably the best estimate.
Yeah, basically, yeah. She has spoke about some concepts about some steel cutout sort of type of thing there, but all the rest are away from that. Like, it's really interesting at Milparinka. I was telling Dan, and I think I mentioned the Rocky, it's about strong women in the bush and how they've survived, and it's come back to letter writing and how communication was in the old days. It really sort of impressed me just talking to the artist about it. So, but we'll get I'll get Joe Trace to give us something more just to pass around. But really interesting.
And the only other one is Pat Saddle. Did you want to quickly just mention where we're up to with that one?
Mia's pretty keen on a yarning circle, but we just didn't know whether that was art or not. So we just asked a few questions, a sculpture type thing. And Joe Crace has come up with some really good ideas of ceramic use of Aboriginal art and that type of thing. And apparently there's some in Mildura and some somewhere else. So we'll get some details of them. But she's also come up with this concept of, it looks like grass growing over the outside of the circle, and it's really quite effective. So it was only from yesterday's meeting, but I'm really keen to talk to Laurie, who's only here in a couple of weeks. So I was trying to get a week just to run you through that, Laurie, too.
Right.
Make sure that we're happy that, because there's the other issues, I suppose, is that improving business outcomes and that, and sort of some of the community think we shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff. But yeah, but if we present it all and get it through, and as a committee sort of think if it's a good idea or not, we'll go through. But yeah, Jo Crace, I've really been impressed, like and just the different ideas they've got. It's pretty,
she's really on the ball. Yeah, really quite happy with where they're up to. I'm really keen to hear from the committee on the on what you think about a yarning circle at Packsaddle. So like Mark said, I think Mia, being the Roadhouse, is really keen to have a yarning circle that could be amenity for visitors as they're driving by and sitting in that amenity and appreciating that, but also, at the same time, purchasing food or whatever at the Roadhouse, which, as Mark said, is a requirement of this grant. We want to get some economic development activity through. But what do people think about a yarning circle versus another style of sculpture or art piece as part of the art trail?
I think a yarning circle is good because it represents both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people.
Okay.
If you look at all bush people, they all stand around basically in a circle and yarn when they get together.
Yes.
And sitting around campfires, it beats into, people of the outback. It's relaxing. And then it's also a significant thing for Aboriginal people.
Brilliant.
So it works, to me, it works both ways.
Okay, thanks, Rocky. Sorry, Ellen, you were also wanting to say something?
I was just going to say I really like the idea, but I have a reservation, and that is, are we opening ourselves up to some criticism if there's some extreme behaviour that may or may not be as respectful as it ought to be for what a yarning circle actually is? And, I don't know, I just feel as though there could be, I don't know enough about Indigenous culture to really make a statement, but I'm just a little concerned that by calling it a yarning circle and actually naming a thing as that, we just could be scooping on the edges of something. I don't know.
Rocky, do you think we could get around that with increasing the interpretation, or is that a real risk?
I don't think it's a risk.
Okay.
But that's just my personal.
Yeah.
You're always going to find somebody that's going to have a problem with something.
Yeah, I think Ellen's scarred from our Milparinka experience of late. Are you?
I guess it's just, even when you attend meetings and things, if somebody doesn't, use the correct welcome, and there's so much fine stuff in the real culture that it's just sort of scary if you open yourself up to it. And I don't know, I just kind of think that we've got a lot of stuff right, and I wonder if we could look at some alternate thing and perhaps not necessarily call it a yarning circle as such. I just feel as though, ringers with cans at midnight on a Friday that are pissed out of their tree sitting in the yarning circle and then sharing photos on Facebook and Instagram may not be the best thing that we want.
Rocky, are you familiar with what happened at Milprinka in the school holidays? There was quite a barrage.
No.
So we had a barrage of people from horrible place of Wagga Wagga.
Yeah. I'm only a B grader in Wagga.
Come up and absolutely trash the place. Yeah, unfortunately, and quite rude to the volunteers as well.
Really?
I'm only laughing because Ruth told me the story of one of the volunteers was one of their school teachers from years previous, and she recognised him. That's how they knew they were from Wagga. But yeah, it wasn't good. The mess apparently was pretty bad, and yeah, disgusting.
Did they break things or just make a mess?
From what I heard, Mark, what the toilets were totally trashed.
They were more annoying than anything. They just sort of got drunk and carried on in the pub and then asked to leave and then started a fire in the van, in the caravan, in the park, and then they got sort of told off. So I think they plugged up the toilets with toilet paper and put drains down the toilet paper down the showers, and yeah.
Well,
And
they should have reported them.
Yeah, I think Ruth did. I think she did report them.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. That's heartbreaking, but
yeah. But anyway, I hear what you're saying, Ellen, and I think there might be some ways that you know, although there might be not such a risk on a very high profile viewing area at Paxuttle, we could probably add some obviously correctly done with your support, Rocky, on, you know, what is a yarning circle and how to appreciate it maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, Arne's Aboriginal. He's part of the Malakappa.
Okay.
So, you know, they'd have a pretty good understanding of it.
Great.
And, you know, like from their point of view, you know, being bush people, it's just, you know, and people like to get together and they always sit or stand in a circle, don't they, you know?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And that's why it's a brilliant idea. I just wonder if we actually, like, you can still refer to it as a yarning circle in our discussions, and if Mia and Arne choose to, but to actually label it that for the public might be the little thing that makes it, you know, maybe you can have some sort of a story about an Aboriginal yarning circle and explain what that is, and so introduce that language, but actually not call it that. I don't know. I love the idea. I think.
Sorry, Rocky, go ahead.
If you heard an intern saying that, you know, this is what it represents, but it isn't officially a yarning circle.
Yeah.
And also add on there about, you know, people in the bush.
Exactly.
You know, the swaggies, everybody, you would sit around the campfire and yarn.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get away with it by explaining that it's, you know, what it represents, but that it's not actually.
It's a good point.
It's not actually a yarning circle. It's a representation of what.
And that can also that's a you know, we were talking about introducing the Afghan story. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there's some circular circle thing in the Afghan story with the camels and nighttime and whatever. I don't know the complete culture of it, but it could actually be used for all sorts of you know, different sort of culturally friendly, inclusive kind of things. So that's cool.
Well, the Drovers years ago, you know, that helped open up the country. They could represent more than just one thing.
Beautiful. All right, no, it's a really great conversation. Thank you, guys. Okay, so just going back to Barnson. Sorry, Mark. When do you want to just fill everyone in on what they're actually doing, because they've got fingers in lots of pies?
Yeah, basically, yeah, we've called them a principal design consultant, so we'll get them to overlook every part of engineering and what we build. So the first instance was to have a look at that that post office and actually see what we can do with it, because originally in the business plan we said we might turn it into some form of accommodation, but we're pretty sure that's going to take a whole lot to meet VCA and that type of thing. So we're sort of looking at protecting what's there and using it as a museum element more than an accommodation element, and then maybe replacing the accommodation element with some different type of huts. But yeah, that recommendation will come back shortly, and they're going to, as I said before, they'll give us some 3D images to have a look at what they're thinking. At this stage, it looks like a roof, but not a roof over that matches the old picture, the old photos we've got, more rather than the walls holding the roof up, the roof holding the walls up and protecting it for future. And then being able to walk through it. And even this morning I spoke with Ruth, she was sort of saying she wants doors in it and then she doesn't want doors in it, but we're thinking about leaving some of the windows out and making two of the rooms sort of secure museum and the other a walk-through area. But we're just going to sort of do it in stages. But yeah, the structural engineers had a look, the architects had a look, the planner guy, he was up there and he had some ideas as well. They've done, their survey person went up a few weeks before that, and I think he stuck his head in and might have talked to Rocky, but had a look at the sites up there anyway. And the engineer had another look at the sites, just about power connection for the museum in Kippaburra, and had a look at the engineering and what we want to do with that camp kitchen. We're going to extend that one in the campground out there, Rocky, and yeah, we'll just get a few sketch options back to everybody. But yeah, probably a couple of barbecues and a sink on each side and a walk through. They're going to develop the engineering for all the camp kitchen, sign off on that stuff. They're going to engineer the interpretation signage shelters, so we can basically get a document to get some pricing on that. I guess that's the main thing on most of the elements. So we've got a document we can get, we can go to procurement with and engage some builders on. So by having them on board now, it'll really get things moving. And they're going to do the master plan of Milparinka, which will put our buildings where we want them, so we can get sign off from stakeholders. And because I think every time I visited Milparinka, things are in a different spot. But that's what it is. And that changed again this morning's conversation, Laurie, just for you.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I want to get it tied down so we can actually start putting some gear on site. But yeah, that's basically their roles. Really happy we got them. Good group of guys, do a lot of work for public works. They're working on the Barker project. They do a lot of work in Broken Hill for the council and the schools. Yeah, it's unfortunate we sort of have to go out to town, but there's no engineers with this capacity in Broken Hill. But yeah, and anything, even if national parks or something want something else looked at, they'll look at the structures when we do stand the sculptures. They'll look at the artwork at Living Desert or Wild Desert, to make sure it's got the proper footing for the ground. They'll survey and do geotech samples. So yeah, we just they're a one-stop shop for anything to do with design, and yeah, they've got quite good ideas. So you'll be hearing their name around And the guy who's sort of managing it, their overall project management guy, his name just escaped me, but he's quite entertaining. So yeah, you'll hear him coming.
So Mark, is Barnson's also doing the ones at Sturt for Gareth, or is Gareth looking after those ones?
GHD up there.
Yeah.
But I asked GHD to tender for this, and they pulled out last minute. I think they rang me on the Friday and said they weren't going to put in a tender.
So the sculptures that'll be put at Wild Deserts, is Barnson's going to tell them what needs to go there, or is that up to Gareth and his guys?
We're pretty flexible. Yeah.
What do you think, Gareth?
I'm sorry, we're talking about sculptures at Wild Desert?
Yeah, that's Reese's ones. Sorry.
So I'm not across that. I believe that that was something that the Wild Desert staff, Reese, was looking after.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. All right. So
we'll probably do that with Reese. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Great.
No, GHD was only for the can, I think, wasn't it, Gareth, originally? And
yeah, we got a report from them, and we pushed them to give us some cost estimates, and they gave us a final report recently. And still, it wasn't exactly exhaustive in providing us good information for to determine which is the best option for how we stabilise that can and that hillside. Specifically, the option that we think is most practical remains the Gabion box rock style structure, and they provided a cost estimate for the material, but nothing concerning experienced contractor to come in and install it. So still quite a bit of a gap there. And some of the things like I got back to them telling them that one of their options or recommendations is to observe the site for 2 years to see if erosion is actually occurring. I informed them straight out that we won't be waiting 2 years, and we know erosion is occurring, and still in their final report, that's their first recommendation. So it was a bit of a hit and miss. One of their options was to move the can off the hill, relocate the can. So I think that they're just totally missing the point of what we're all about.
We've waited 200 years. Erosion is happening.
Yeah. So I think we're going to get. It's kind of a bit frustrating. They've pretty much come back with what we thought we needed to do in the first place. But we have a bit more information to go on at this stage. So
what's the next steps, Gareth?
For the next steps, I've got to get in touch with Rocky and also in touch with the O'Connors and the Hodgins to get them across the project as we see it. We marked out the track. Dan, Grant Adams and I went up and marked that out. I think that was at the start of last week. So I've got to get that information in and put it on into a map to provide that information. The two reports we got from Trailscape for the walking track and for the stabilisation of the hill, get that to our main stakeholders, being the Tiblauk, Rocky, and those pastoral landowners and managers that share the corner there, the can in Mount Pool. And then from there, the site is actually quite a significant Aboriginal heritage site. So legislation dictates that we go through an AHIP to make sure we're not impacting on that site. And so I'll first of all talk with Rocky about how we need to go through that. And then from there, we'll need to put out tenders or reach out a bit further to the registered Aboriginal parties, so interested people that may have some interest in the area as part of that legislative requirement for an AHIP, and then look to work out how we do the tender for the works to be installed.
Okay. What do you perceive as the time frame for probably that first next step, which is the consultation?
Pretty much the next 6 months.
Okay, cool.
With hopefully everything being signed off and ready to be installed over next. Hopefully we'll have everything signed off by April, May, and ready to engage contractors over winter and into spring next year, because we won't be looking to try and do anything over summer in the last 6 months of the 2-year project window.
Great. Fabulous, thank you, and thanks for the latest invoice to Gareth. That was
No worries.
last report. Awesome. Right, I think that's it on Barnsons, isn't it? I'm just quickly going through here.
Yeah.
Any questions on all of that? Because there's a lot going on at the moment, as you've probably gathered. So happy to answer questions as you might think of them. Now, just on the top one, which is the website, I don't know if anyone has seen this as yet, but I'll just drag it across. So this is what Ruth's done a lot of work with Shane Strudwick down in the Murray. And this came at a very, very cost effective, because obviously we didn't have the money in our budget for this at this stage, but this was helping start to collect some of the data before we were ready to do anything on the project. So you can see here that we have something now available. Sorry, Rocky, you can't see this, but it's visitcornercountry.com.au. And it literally is showing potential travellers now what the journey is. So a bit of a dump of content, but the good part is we're starting to get the information out to potential visitors now, knowing that obviously the time is ripe to get access to potential travellers. So yeah, I just thought I'd quickly show you that. Feel free to have a bit of a browse, but like I say, it's a very cost-effective value that we've managed to get just to start housing something. Where to next? Going down here, TASAC. I still get shivers when I say that acronym. So where we're up to. The application form has 9 different areas that need to be addressed, and that is either with additional documentation or links and so forth. The biggest thing in that application is about how it's marketed, and I think I mentioned that before, and the obstacles we have with that, because the website you just seen is basically it at the moment, and we don't actually have any funding to be able to market this post creation, because this is an infrastructure grant. And obviously, as you know, we've been collaborating with the regions to try to make sure that they're aware of the product, so that at the end of the day, it's a sum of all parts strategy to get everyone to promote it and make sure it's a destination-driven opportunity for anyone that has visitors come through their business. That doesn't really sit well in an application, and like I said to Mark, for the years that I've evaluated grants, awards, etc., I felt that we just couldn't tick that box. So as a result, I'm compiling a business and a marketing plan for the touring route, which is obviously during and post infrastructure completion. That has really indicated that after this is all over, when I say all over, when all the infrastructure is delivered, the focus on a tourism group is definitely needed. As you know, you don't have a local council to support the opportunity of promotion. You've got neighbouring shires like Central, Darling, Burke, Broken Hill that have money and opportunity to market, and they could certainly connect the region, but they're not going to solely market for the corner country. So my recommendation, which I spoke to Ruth on and to Mark, was that the part I put in there in the business and marketing plan is that we need to combine all of the operators in the corner country area and start moving them in a way to be a corner country group. and have a regional tourism group that's led by industry to keep the voice and the marketing messages going. That means that obviously Millprinka will be part of that, Millprinka Heritage and Tourism Association, or the option is that Millprinka could become the Corner Country Tourism, but then be all inclusive right up to Cameron and down to Yanco Glen.
Laurie, can I just interrupt?
Absolutely, Alan.
So, Sean, you probably know more about this than I do, but the Monday night meeting, do you want to share some information about that?
Sean's just ducked off to another meeting. He just left us about 5 minutes ago.
Oh, handy. Okay. So I don't have very much of the detail because I didn't go, but on Monday night there was a meeting in Broken Hill, backed by council and various other sort of official bodies. All about tourism. The plan is to create a local tourism group with a council supported tourism officer, and it's with that Destination New South Wales, you know, the whole bit.
Yep.
Council has made a, I don't know, tentative, for want of a better word, promise to fund $50,000, and if the group that's formed also funds $50,000, they will make this thing happen. And they're now working on a project to figure out how different organisations can officially join and how they pay their membership fee based on their structure. And so Linda Nadge was there. So if you want to give her a call, she was very enthusiastic about it.
Right.
Interviewed on the radio. So yeah, if you want sort of proper detail, not just my wishy-washy stuff, give Linda a call and she'll be able to tell you all about it.
Great, thanks, Ellen. I did hear whispers that the meeting was happening, but yeah, I hadn't heard how it actually went. So that's great, thank you. And it just emphasises the same sort of focus that's needed for this area as well, because I think if we're really going to capitalise on this as a major tourism opportunity, we've got to be in there with not only the regional but also the state, and the state need a conduit to talk to the regions. And that was one of the biggest criticisms that I had when I reached out to DNSW to tell them about the project and said, well, who do we talk to? and I said, of course, at the moment it's me. So we need to replace me for when, you know, I'm not here delivering the project or the grant, and make sure that it's something that the region can benefit from and not just be another red tape or another organisation that's going to muddy the waters. So I think Dan and I know we've yet to discuss what we want to do when I'm in town, but you know, this could be even something that potentially an existing group could take on if the appetite's there. It doesn't need to be onerous. It just needs to be a vehicle for tourism promotion. Any questions on that?
I can just say, just without sounding negative, well, I suppose I will sound negative, but anyway, I've sort of been involved in all this sort of stuff for 20 odd years with tourism, and in the perfect world, that all works. That's all exactly how it should be, but it's
doesn't always
not a perfect world. It's just there's so many problems that with and being the unincorporated area where it's come from and where it is, it's sort of all to do with it not being councilled, that sort of thing. So it is a job. It's that there's been groups come and go. It is a task for somebody that's got to be done without payment. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's not as simple as it sounds, sort of thing.
Yeah. Totally hear you. I've seen them work really well. I've seen them fail, and and I think the challenge that we've got, and needless to say, obviously we're saying things in a plan that may not happen, but it's certainly supporting the application of which we're doing right now. But as you say, in a perfect world, that would be a great outcome. So I think the thing is we sort of bring the community on for the ride of what we want to do in the next 3 years. We'll park, obviously the content post that until we get to a stage where the appetite is increased after they start seeing the product and understanding the potential. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but since COVID and people traveling more out there now, has there been a more interest in tourism or not? Oh, Dan.
Oh, sorry, can you just repeat that last bit?
Yeah, just with the recent travel increase with people coming out, do you find the town is sort of sitting up and listening more about tourism or interested in tourism a bit more now they're starting to see people come through or not?
That's a tough question. They could be saying tourism's taking care of itself,
Right.
Why do we need to join this group? We're at capacity now. We've got the ceiling of the road.
Yeah.
And thanks to COVID, they've got it's a bumper tourism season now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could work in reverse. You know what I mean? They're saying,
Yep.
"Oh no,
Yep.
we don't need it. We don't need it."
No, it's really good to know. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's not what I'm hearing. People have always understood the importance of tourism.
Yeah. Good.
But whether they want to get off their asses and be very proactive about it, I can't speak for them on that. I know some do, but some will just go along for the ride. Some will let the others do the work for them. So yeah.
Cool. Rocky, have you got any other?
Am I sounding cynical?
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. You're just being realist. No, that's great. Thanks, Dan. Rocky, did you have any other thoughts on that? Do you concur?
I'll probably agree with Dan.
Cool. Okay. No, it's good to know when I come to town and how I phrase things by knowing that. So that's really, really cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it's also been a busy year with the roadworks as well.
Of course.
These extra people in town during the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That is part of it. The RMS and a few other things that are happening at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, great.
But it's just everybody knows. I think everything it's all going off with the ceiling of the road and the Wild Deserts project and the Sturts Steps project.
Yeah.
And all the work at the hostel, which is there's more to come yet.
So we've just got to find this, bucket of money somewhere sitting there that we can throw into the local tourism group. Sure. Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. Thanks, guys. Sorry, Ellen, did you say something?
I was just going to say Tibooburra is probably exactly the same as Broken Hill on a, reduced scale. And I know here, like the town, you can't get a car park, you can't get accommodation, you can't get a meal sometimes. Everybody's, just flat out. And because of that, people have started, like the businesses have actually started making comments about the changes into their business because of tourism. For example, they don't necessarily have anyone through the doors before 10 o'clock in the morning because the market is or the custom base is tourists.
Yeah.
So they kind of have a leisurely breakfast and then stroll around at 10 o'clock till 1 o'clock kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I imagine that Tibooburra would be experiencing similar things but on a reduced scale.
Yeah. No, the interesting thing, I think it was Mark that told me that even the accommodation are booked out and there's people sleeping in cars. It's insane. I mean, it's great, but how do you make people realise? Sorry, Dan.
Well, is at capacity too with bookings. A lot of nights you can't get a room there either.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So how do you say that this is where you've got to make hay while sunshine and make sure you put the systems in place to have a a sustainable economy out of this. Anyway, yep, great content. Thank you, guys. So just back on TASAC, the other thing that they need us to do is a beautiful business audit. So it's a lovely Excel spreadsheet, which I looked at and I went, geez, this looks familiar. And I think we had it back when I was working at Tourism New South Wales in 2002. So anyway, I have attempted to recreate it in a more familiar manner, and I've now populated that with every business that is along the route, because that's what they wanted to know. And that is part of the submission. So I'm hoping to get that full submission to them next week and see how we go. Fingers crossed, everyone. The finances, just quickly on those, I'm sure you had a quick squiz, but we had a huge delay in last month's income coming in. There was some fault with Infrastructure New South Wales in getting our payment to us on time. So unfortunately, that was not good from a supplier sense, but now that means that there was no transactions entered into Xero for the month of September, other than I think one payment from the August report. So it doesn't look beautiful as a pretty books register, but that will explain when you see the September, and then the October, you're going to see double in October, hopefully. So yeah, no surprises as far as where the money's been going. Everything we've been talking about is where it's been investing into, and the balance sheet is all on track. We've got a bit of a buffer there thanks to our float, our building float, to cover GST expenses when we get to the larger sums. So if there's any questions on that, give me a yell. And now it's just up to the updates around the table. So I think we mainly, sorry, Rocky, did you want to say something?
No, I've got a frog.
Oh, okay, no worries. Gareth, we've heard from you on the can and the walkway. So is there anything else that you wanted to add to your update?
No, not at this stage, Laurie. Yeah, as said, I'm trying to finish off another project at the moment and hoping to give Rocky a call next week. So Rocky, heads up for that one. I'll try and get in touch with you next week once I get my maps in order and I can start to focus on that. Other than that, I'm now going to have to get into the grind of writing that REF and the consultation, and which is, for the AHIP is going to be quite tricky, and we've also got those pastoral key stakeholders that I'll need to engage with. So that's going to take some time.
Cool.
Also, as said, with Jamie away, we haven't sat down and made a concrete decision on what treatment we're going to use to stabilise that hillside, but from our previous discussions, the gabion rock cages seems the most long-term solution. So we'll probably push for that, which will, we'll have to cost and work out exactly how we're going to do that. Yeah.
Are you estimating that it's going to be within budget or not, just from our sense?
Well, because of the whole idea that there's no point putting in a walking track up to Cairn that's no longer on top of the hill. The $50,000 for stabilising the hill, we're going to go well past that, and we'll be lucky if we get that in within 100,000. But the cost estimate from Trailscape to put a raised walkway into the to the Cairn was $1 million, which we're just not going to be able to do. So having a gravel walking track, bringing at this stage potentially bringing material in rather than benching into the hill after having a look at the significance of the site and zeroing in on some of the fact that as you get towards the top of the site, the concentration of Aboriginal artefacts increases quite significantly. So it's been used for a long period of time as a stone tool workshop. So digging in and making a bench track might not be appropriate, as to definitely be impacting on artifacts. But then we also might struggle even with just getting approvals to bury them and put a capping over it to create a walking track. So we probably will save some money in the walking track, but how we install the walking track's also up in the air at the moment, and will be determined through the consultation with Rocky and the other Aboriginal stakeholders.
Cool.
The LAUC.
Okay, great. All right, well, that's good news generically on that, and obviously Mark and I've been factoring in buffers where we can, just in case. But no, that's really good. And wild deserts, I haven't caught up with Reese recently, but certainly the wire sculpture seems to be on track from what I hear. Mark, I don't know if you've got any further update.
No, I haven't heard from Reese either, apart from all the materials delivered and, the sculptures have got it. And, I'm expecting some photo updates. I think that was part of the deal. So that'll be good. Yeah, right. I know since the border opened, Reese has been a bit back and forward with that. I don't know if it's family reasons or what, but he sort of, was doing a bit of catch up.
Okay. And when I'm in town in a couple of weeks, I want to definitely, Gareth, I want to go out and sit down with him, work out the interp and what we need to do with your museum out there. So if you've got any thought about, what you guys want out there from a parks perspective versus a wild deserts perspective, maybe if you've got time, it'd be great to do it together.
Yeah, okay. Potentially Dan's looking at this Sturts stockade maps and was going to talk to Mark about that. So potentially we could do some interpretation around that from a Sturts perspective.
Right.
And we'll also have different interpretation to work through for Mount Poole as well. So that's on the agenda for me as well to work through.
Great. Okay, fabulous. So Dan, if you remember, literally that 11th, 12th, so all day 11th, all day 12th, half day 13th is all yours from me being in Tib those days.
Yeah, I need to talk to you about that. I'm pretty snowed under with my paid job.
Okay. Damn it.
Right now, but anyway, I've got to get, as soon as we leave this meeting, I've got to go out.
Cool, that's right. We'll catch up when you're free.
I'll give you a ring as soon as I can. Yeah.
Thanks.
Are you still going out to Narriara at all with someone else? Or?
I think Kathy might be doing that on her own. So while I'm doing, maybe when I go out to Sturts, she might go out to there. I'm not too sure. Haven't caught up with her yet. That's another one I've got to find out what she's doing. She's coming out to hitch a ride, but she's got her own agenda.
Yeah. And she works for Parks.
She does. She's your one of your community engagement officers. So, and I think she's spoken to Jamie about some of the things that he wanted done while she's out there. So I don't know where they got to with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Cool. West Darling Arts we've covered. So is there anything else anyone wants to raise?
Not for me.
It was mainly just your trip going out there, and I'm heading back, so I'll probably won't be back till sort of December, but I've got plenty to do on that. That's the only other one I wanted to raise, I think.
Wonderful. So and I think that's if anyone wants to do anything particular while I'm there, please let me know. The idea is the 9th I arrive in Broken Hill and I'm helping Jodie with some Silverton stuff, and obviously we want to build Silverton eventually into this whole loop, so that'll be on my agenda that first day. That afternoon I've got catching up with West Darling Arts and various other people, so if there's anything in Broken Hill that anyone needs, let me know. Then I'll take off to Milparinka the next day, where obviously I'll be talking with Ruth a lot about the interp and the various final locations, hopefully, when I say final, depending on where Barnson's is up to, and just looking at that. And I'm being offered some of the businesses like Pink Alley to help them and guide them into making the most of this project. And then I'll head to Tibooburra pretty much for the 2.5 days. It could be 3 days, so if there is more to do up there, certainly I don't have to arrive back into Broken Hill until Saturday, so I've got appointments on Saturday, some on Sunday, some Monday morning, and then I head out back to Sydney. So yeah, anything you need, give me a yell.
Just make sure you sort of try and book some time with not Kathy, Joe Craig.
Joe, yes, she's on
she's
Monday.
got some really good ideas, and just if we point in the right direction now,
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
And sorry about not getting there, the Savo, Dan. I've just got to get this job out the tender, and I've been put under the pump with it a bit. So
no, that's all right, Mark. I've got to go out and do something. As soon as I can too. So
yeah.
I've got stamps out here, so I can show them to you when you get here.
Yeah, I'll might pop over after lunch tomorrow.
Yeah, no problem.
Fabulous.
Thanks,
Dan,
Jeff.
will you call me when you're free? Don't stress. I will work it out.
Yeah.
Thank you. And likewise, Gareth, if there's anything you need, just give us a yell. Rocky, I'll probably.
All right, thanks, Laurie.
No worries. Rocky, I'll probably give you a call next week, and we'll work out what time's best for you, because I think there'll be a lot on what we discussed prior to the meeting, just about, content-wise.
Yep, no worries.
Mm-hmm. Fabulous. All right, thanks, guys. Well, thank you for participating. Small number today, but as I say, it's recorded, and we'll send a private link to the other members so that they can view it.
Yeah, I think Tom was actually off work last week. I went to, so I'm not sure if he's crook or not, but
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
No worries.
No worries, guys. Catch ya.
Okay. Thanks.